Perfect.
Today is National Wright Brothers Day, commemorating the brothers' first successful powered flight and the importance of aviation.
And Chicago has been instrumental in the growth of this aviation industry since its early years. Ariane Nettles joins us with more. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We're so happy you're back. You always have so much information for us. First of all, let's just start with the fact that it's Wright Brothers Day. We had no idea this was a day.
Yeah, so, you know, Orville and Wilbur Wright, this commemorates their first successful flight in 1903. And realistically, you know, this was just this really big moment that kind of kicked off the innovation in this new era of aviation and flying. But Chicago was there from the very beginning.
Okay, so it's interesting you say this. So as growing up as a child in North Carolina, this is on our license plates on the cars. And it says first in flight. So when I saw this, I thought, oh my goodness, so why are we talking about this? Because we're in Chicago. But then this is the angle that I absolutely love. There is so much Chicago history and influence behind this first flight. Really, Chicago can take credit too.
Yes, absolutely. So before that really famous, very important flight, there was a man who was a Chicagoan living in Chicago by the name of Octave Chanute, right?
Okay.
And this man was really important to the field of aviation because there was not yet a field of aviation, but he had really become, you know, really well known as a innovator in railroad. And so he decided that for the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago, he was going to bring together the smartest, the best, and the brightest engineers and scientists to really study and commit to working on aviation. And he actually was sort of like an advisor and a helper, you know, kind of an inspiration to the Wright brothers. And he created this thing called the Chanute glider, and that was really seen as the most influential aircraft before the Wright brothers created kind of this airplane.
And the Wright brothers actually talked about how they were influenced by his work, you said.
Yes, yes. So they credited him with being influenced, like in later biographies and writings that they would create. They really talked about how he influenced them. So it wasn't just that he kind of normalized this kind of kooky idea that us as people could be in the air, but the Wright brothers really talked about that influence for sure.
And reading up on the Chanute fellow, it sounded like he didn't just want credit for himself. He really wanted to share the love, and he thought that this solution was something that could come up. It had to be a group of people that came up with aviation and what makes it work. So that was really incredible. So tell us also about the post office. Like, how did this?
Yes. So by the 1920s, the post office had really connected with airlines in order to kind of fly our mail across the U.S., right? And Chicago was really important to that growth because of the fact that A, we were already a major transportation hub, and B, our location as being the heart of the country is like, as I like to say it, right? We're the heart. And so that really helped it continue to grow. And so actually it was 1918 where airmail first started in Chicago. And so it really continued to grow from there. It started off in Grant Park, and then it quickly moved to what was like Chesterfield, which was kind of like in, some people say Broadview, some people say that it's really Maywood.
Where Loyola Medical Center is? Okay.
Yes, where that currently is.
Wow. Okay, and then we bring in and talk about commercial flight and Chicago's role in that.
Yes. And so, you know, now today, of course, we know O'Hare as the biggest airport here, but really that was Midway. So in 1927, all of the airmail started to go through what was called Municipal Airport, and that was Midway's first name. And so really quickly, Municipal Airport, or Midway, became the busiest airport in the whole country. So it had commuter flights, it was doing mail, it had its own post office, it was moving and shaking like no other in the whole country. But of course, you know, as Chicago wanted to continue to kind of compete with other places as a world-class city, it wanted to invest in a bigger plot of land, a bigger place. And so it found this place that was really at the time kind of like so far that you had to drive through cornfields to get to, and that is how we got O'Hare.
It's still pretty far some days, isn't it?
It's still pretty far, depending on what that traffic is looking like.
Exactly, right. So we can't talk about aviation history and Chicago's influence without talking about the history of Black aviation here in Chicago.
Yes.
Do you want to give us just some basics on it?
Yes, absolutely. And so, you know, we may have known the name Bessie Coleman as the first Black woman to get her pilot's license, but I think what a lot of us don't know is that it was really because of like the Great Migration and being in Chicago that really brought her to that. She came to Chicago during the Great Migration, and it was Robert Abbott, the owner and publisher of the Chicago Defender, who encouraged her to go to France to get that pilot's license when people in places in the U.S. denied her. And it was Jesse Binga, who was a, you know, really influential Black banker in Chicago, that actually helped pay for it.
Oh, wow.
Then we had the first Black airport here in Robbins, Illinois. And, you know, that kind of crew of people really led by Cornelius Coffey and John Robinson, they also continue to just really teach and train a lot of Black pilots, including, you know, later the Tuskegee Airmen. And so this influence, it really, you know, it may have started here, but it really grew and grew and grew.
Thank you so much for being here today. Now we know why the Wright Brothers Day matters to us here in Chicago.
Thank you so much. It definitely does.
Thank you. For more information, just head to Ariane.com or find her on Instagram.
All right, stay with us. We've got more Spotlight Chicago coming up after the break.